Hello, good evening. Welcome to another episode of Guns and Yellow Ribbons, our final one of this season. Although we will do stuff over the summer, but our final, look over a match and everything else. We beat Everton. It was a great day out, a good performance, and yes, we finished doing the job we needed to do. But unfortunately, it didn't work out that we won the title. Very proud, very happy in most cases. And a delightful day with friends. Welcome to Guns and Yellow Ribbons. My name is Fergus. Enjoy the show.
Get ready for the world's greatest Arsenal podcast. Welcome to another podcast by Guns and Yellow Ribbons. Enjoy the show.
Introducing the one, the only, Hilsey. That didn't work. Hang on. Do it again.
Fergus, you had one job, mate. You had one job.
Trevor, you came in like a wrecking ball. I wrecked it, clearly, but you can...
Fuck.
It's a lovely...
That wasn't the best intro I've ever seen. All I'll say is, unfortunately, there's picture evidence that it must have happened, but I don't remember any of it.
Well, let's just explain. Dan, you were quite busy in the middle of the group. I had gone to the side to get a beer, couldn't get into the middle of the group again. It was that mad, and we'll go through that in a few minutes. And I'm standing there having a beer, and out of nowhere, literally, out like a wrecking ball, he comes running through, and he just comes, I've got to get in the middle. Oh, the shirt's off. And he ran into the middle. and yeah, the rest is history. Trevor, talk us through that moment. What went through your mind?
Well, I don't know why.
Baby Guinnesses?
Well, yeah, they came very early in the day, the chasers, didn't they? Very early in the day, and very frequently, I might add. But I don't know what happened. We just had a brilliant day, didn't we? It was a wonderful day supporting the Arsenal, and I went a bit OTT, but you know what? I couldn't care less, to be honest, boys. What a season we've had. We're going to talk about that shortly, I know. But what a day we had yesterday to finish it off. And what I will say is, Lyle mentioned it earlier on our chat. Pre-game yesterday, the ground was packed, busy an hour before kickoff, more. Blackstock Road was just full of people. There were just people everywhere enjoying the Arsenal. It was like the good old days, you know. And for this old fella, I think the Emirates is finally starting to feel like home, you know, Ferg. I honestly do, mate.
This is outside the Emirates Stadium. Beforehand, I have got a picture somewhere of Blackstock Road. I've got so many pictures in here. It's unreal. There's Capo with his flock, but that's not an exaggerated pose or Photoshop photo. That is Chan from Lower North Bank taking a picture of the crowd that's behind Dan. It was just absolutely unreal. And this is what we said the Blackstock Road was like. It was like, as Lyle and yourself said, Trevor, it was like the good old days. We started off in the Woodbine, and we had our usual table, and Michal was really accommodating, really nice. Bought us a pint as well. Appreciated what we did with our custom throughout the year. And they had their Woodbine flag. There's a good story about the Woodbine flag, and I'll talk to you other guys in a second. But the Woodbine flag has gone over land and sea like the other flags that we've seen. But on the very back of that flag, it says, if found, please return to the corner of the Woodbine Bar, Blackstock Road, N5. Because the guys in that corner of the bar have it. Dan, how's your voice? Because you can hear mine is already going.
Mine's all right. I didn't have to do a lot of singing yesterday. There was about 2,000 other people that turned up. So I'm doing all right. But I can't move on without talking about Sir Trevor Hill because he didn't come in like a wrecking ball. He came in like a 2-footed tackle in a derby. That's how I'd describe him getting into the middle of the circle.
Oh my Lord, I'm never going again. Never going again.
He's an old rugby player after all, isn't he?
Yeah.
Brilliant, Trev. Loved it.
He'll get them out. You know he will.
You didn't seem to like our singing, did you, Trev, at the beginning? We had a few little songs going, but you didn't seem to like them. So
I didn't understand. No, I wasn't listening really. I was too busy getting drunk, and boy, did I get drunk. And then I don't know what was going on with me yesterday, boys, but I bought me regulation 4 pints of cider when I went in the ground. And an hour before kickoff, I'm looking for beers because I've drunk them all. I drank all 4 and I couldn't get near the bar because the ground was rammed. So whoever lost a pint of lager off the side yesterday, I'm sorry, it was me. I owe you a beer.
It's probably going to be me, I expect. What was good to see Porrig. Porrig is he's the guy in the green and blue. He's over from Donegal in Ireland. He made it away. His wife was down at block 25, 26. But he came round to see Trevor, me, and Dan. He is a listener watcher of the podcast. It was really nice to see people who do watch the podcast come round. Alex, serious FOMO going on, yeah?
Massive FOMO, and it didn't get better when you all called me from the Woodbine, and I could see all the usual faces in there. So yeah, I mean, I was glad you did call, but it did make me miss it even more and make me want to be there. But it was just so nice seeing you all incredibly drunk and enjoying the last game of the day. And it just looked like a massive party yesterday.
You know, that pub is a lot to answer for. Like I've had my some family over from Ireland. They've come in there and they've had 3 or 4 drinks and gone home, hanging out at the backside for about 4 days. Myself and yourself, Alex, have gone there. And you've grown up there, haven't you? Really, it's made you a man.
Last couple of years,
it's made
it
you
has,
a man.
yeah.
There's another young Gooner, a young Theo, who comes with Andrew. He started off the season a boy, and he finished a man following his trip.
No details. No details. All I'll say, Ferg, is I'm sure it was 2.
I haven't heard about this one before.
Well, Alex,
take over. Off the record, Alex. It's not a live conversation.
We can't say any more, Alex. It's hilarious. We love you, Theo, mate. We love you, son. Oh my Lord!
Right, listen, some other people we bumped into. This, if anybody's just listening and getting the theme of how it's going, we had such a good day with friends yesterday. We followed our team up and down the country, over land and sea and across Europe, and it was the final day of that season. We bumped into people. Trevor bumped into people from Gothenburg, Gooners out in Sweden, Johan, and he gave us all some pin badges, which was really nice to meet him. Trevor, once you finished sipping your beer, talk to us a little bit about how you met Johan then.
Yeah, I met Johan and a couple of his friends he had the pictures yesterday to show me. It was 6 years ago now. Was in the sports bar. Is it a sports bar? Having a few beers after the game, and these lads come over and started talking. They were from Gothenburg, Swedish Gooners. Gave us some badges. Probably spent about an hour with him, having a lovely chat. And unfortunately, I've not bumped into him since, but we went in the Gunners yesterday, didn't we, Ferg, early doors? And they were in there and over they came again, and we had a lovely chat. We only had about 15 minutes chatting, but we had a lovely chat. I've promised I'm going to go over to Gothenburg and watch a game next season with them all over there. And then, don't worry, Alex, then I'll come to Copenhagen after, I promise.
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
But, I'm going to go over to Gothenburg and watch a game because they're lovely people. And he had a pocket full of pin badges yesterday, and he gave me and all the lads a badge. And it was great to see him in. Really great.
Actually, there's another video I want to download because I'll bring it up later on. That's my hat. I've never done this hat thing. I don't know how you wear hats all the time, Dan. It really is.
Ferg, is that your hat that fits, or is that the one you claimed was a child hat?
No, this is the one that fits.
Right. Well, I've got an experiment I'd like to do here because I also have a child's hat here, and believe it or not, Ferg, it fits. So it can't be the
Yeah, but-
shoulder. It must just be you've got an absolutely massive head, mate.
Yeah, in more ways than one, but we won't go into that. We're back to Scampi fries again, aren't we? So
Always low.
here we go.
Isn't he?
Oh,
I'm going to
dear,
have to
dear,
hear
dear.
about this after the podcast.
You are. Listen, before I put up these next photos, I want people to go over to Instagram and check out Chan on Lower North Bank. When you see some of these amazing photographs that go up, like this one of all the guys here, especially that guy in the back row in the middle, he looks like he's got a face of like a pint of lager.
George, I am not happy with you, George. We are having words, son.
There's the picture there with Dan earlier. I'm just going to take down the banner 1 second because some of these pictures are just so good. We've got obviously the Wrecking Ball coming in there, and there's me. I may have had a couple of beers in that one, and then there's some on the North Bank. These are passionate. Look at that! Look at that! That's when the smoke was released from the top of the stadium. The flags on the North Bank were flying. And then when North London Forever was sung, this is the scenes. It's stunning, Trev, isn't it? What he does is just great. And he's really good to share it with us as well.
Excuse me if I just coughed then. Was I on mute then when I coughed? I bet I wasn't.
I think you were. You got away with it.
Sorry about that, boys, if you did. Yeah, Chan's very clever, and a lovely lad, and he deserves more followers. Go across to Instagram, North Bank Noise, and give him a follow. And he captures his photography is very clever because he gets himself in positions. He sort of captures the atmosphere in a photo. You can almost hear it coming out of the photo, you know. And yeah, he's a great lad as well. Yeah, and he furnished us with some wonderful pictures at the Arsenal over this last season or so. And unfortunately, he was there and captured me yesterday, which maybe wasn't so good, but I'm not unhappy with it. Wonderful, wonderful.
I'd say his pictures are so good. You can even see in the picture Fergus messing up the words. That's how good they are.
What was that? Sorry, I was listening to something else. I didn't hear you take the piss out of me.
That's all right. It was all fun. I'm not going to say it again.
It's just the normal stuff, is it?
Pretty much, yeah.
Have you seen the Hente's comment in the chat?
I haven't.
Looks like there's a story behind Gothenburg and Arsenal. That was the first Scandinavian country they went to was Sweden, and they went to Gothenburg apparently.
Oh wow!
And usually our mate Hente is right in his historical facts, so
he's spot on normally. Yeah, you're right, Alex. Yeah. Oh, that's right.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
The North Bank, the atmosphere beforehand on the Concourse, well, right around the whole stadium, right in the whole area, there was just a vibe. You know, I think everybody went with the same expectation of, like, you know, it's not necessarily in our hands, but we just do what we need to do and win our game and then hope for the best. But let's enjoy the day. It started right down Blackstock Road. We got early down into the stadium, got our beers, and you know, Dan wasn't really getting it, so we had to recruit somebody else in to try and teach Dan some lessons on how to be a proper capo.
I thought that was Dan.
No, it was too tall for Dan. It was too tall.
I thought it was Theo.
That would have been a good joke there, Fergus, but I had to tell you that one yesterday, and unfortunately, we know you've only got one joke, and you couldn't have come up with that yourself, so we'll move on.
Okay, yeah, we'll move on. But that was little Jude's comes and sees us when he's in there with his mum or his aunt, and it was really good to see them. We sent the video across them, and it's on Joe's Instagram. I suppose the last video we need to talk about the concourse and how good it was. Well, Dan, me and you, well, you in particular, but me with the DJ in the background, you know, we started with trying to get atmosphere going on the concourse of Block 5. and just making a conscientious effort of just screaming our lungs out. 2 or 3 people joined us, 5 or 6 people joined us. People will start, what do you think of Tottenham? And now the pace is absolutely electric. You saw those pictures that Chan has shared. Talk to me about how you feel it's grown, and it almost felt like it grew up and it was born yesterday.
I'd say that picture that you put up earlier with the people behind us doesn't really capture it, how wide it was. You know, that was as deep as it could go because of the width of that little part of the ground. But when Sam put me on the shoulders, you can see either side. It's like that wide, but 5 or 6 times deep. And it used to start with a small little circle around people. It's grown and grown and grown. And you've got people now at the next block. You know, we're in between sort of 5 and 6. You've got people now beyond block 6 into 7. I think a little bit round to 4 as well. And you've got people that come and joining it from all over the stadium. We've got people upstairs that come round, people in the east and the west stands as well that come round, and people just come there for a laugh. And it's full of proper Arsenal fans, which is good. And I think people just want to go in there and make a noise, and it's not the same old songs that you used to hear. It's songs that keep going and keep going and keep going. It's not the 2 lines and stop. It's where we want it to be and a bit more. I think for me, it's just now, how do we get it into the stands? And you saw yesterday how the stands were. I think it's starting to go around the stadium. There's different pockets around the ground on the concourse. There's pockets around the ground in the stands. Keep it up, keep it moving, and more of it, because it's only going to help the team.
Yeah, I think as a team improve and continue to improve, that will help. Just before anybody else comes in, here's just a scene from there, which will give you a flavour of what it was like. And the star of the show in this one is Polly. Polly had her hen do beforehand with some friends, and Polly's with us in the North Bank, and she enjoys sharing these special moments. But boy, did she chuck herself in. And of all the places to do it, a girl on her own with her mates and everything else, but just to get up and embrace the football and the day she was having. People around at first were like, what's she doing with a veil on her head? And then all of a sudden everybody was behind Polly. Let's look at Polly in the North Bank. Trevor, how yes, good was that? What was the noise like that? It was immense. I said to you, it was like in a 1980s disco when you came out and you couldn't hear for 3 days.
Yeah, it was that loud. My ears were ringing. You're right, Ferg. Yeah, it was just a wonderful atmosphere. And not only is it an atmosphere, right? There's an affinity there. You know, and long may it last, because it is like we hear the phrase used too often. You know, we're like, it's like a big family, and football's but there around that block 5, and as Dan said, spreading to 6 and 7 and 4, is like a family. Everybody now knows everybody, and you get more joy in that family every game, and it's getting bigger. And it's just perfect. And Dan's exactly right. I've seen pictures coming in today from other pockets in the upper tier, around the other side of the ground. And the more them pockets grow, you can see the benefit in the atmosphere. That ground was rocking yesterday, unlike it's ever rocked before. And it's getting better and better and better, down to the work of people like Dan and Ferg and the other people who get the singing going. And it as I said just now, right? And it's the first time I've said it, really. The Emirates is starting to feel like home to me. And as an old timer, trust me, I have taken some persuading, mate.
Alex,
I'd also quickly say Aluko must be right, because, yeah, Polly looks like she's a woman really unsafe and unhappy at football there, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no. Exactly, it's a huge point. It is a huge point. Alex, you come as a young lad. Okay, you've got to know us and so on. But even as an overseas fan, you turn up there and it's like, you get there 10 games a season if you're lucky. And when you turn up, people just welcome you and go, "Hi, Alex, Danish Gooner, da 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 da."
Yeah,
You're just famous.
Yeah. It's. I felt so welcome coming to Block 5 over the last couple of years and gotten to know a lot of people as well. So it does feel like a second home every time I come over there and stay with you, Ferg, as well. Shout out to Sam's shoulders as well. I don't know how he manages to get every single man and woman in Block 5 on his shoulders every single time. He must have some.
Next week, I want to challenge him, Ferg. Can he get 19 stone up there?
Yeah, that's the next big one.
He's gone close. I've been up there.
Oh, he's gone over then.
Yeah. But Dan, you sent us this clip here. I'll put the full volume on so people can hear it. This is outside of the closed circle. This is Block 6 looking into Block 5. Go on, Dan.
Yeah, mate. It just shows how far out it is. And look, there's people on people's shoulders, even that far out, and I guarantee it goes further beyond that and the other side as well. So it just shows how many people want to get involved and want to get there and cheer the team on and have a good time. At the end of the day, it's about going there with your mates and having a good time and getting behind the lads and supporting the team. And the more people that go there with that attitude, the better. Not turning up.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, it was Andrew that lifted me. Sam's not that strong, so it'll have to be down to Andrew, Trev.
Yeah.
So yeah. Listen, let's talk about the Everton game. Although
away from me, I know where that.
Look, ahead of the game, Arsenal had won 101 out of 205 of the games against Everton. Most any other club has won against another team in the top flight, probably because both teams are longer serving in the top flight. Arsenal had now more points accumulated than that. The Invincibles had won more games than ever, scored more goals than we did in 50 years. And Everton had won 2 of these last 31 away fixtures for them. Lineup-wise, the only change was Saka. I assume he picked up that injury and he was a bit more serious at Man United. But Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Tomiyasu, Rice, Partey, Odegaard, Trossard, Martinelli and Havertz. Talk to us about the lineup then, Alex.
Yeah, I think, same lineup as the last couple of games bar Saka, as you said, with Martinelli playing on the right-hand side. And I think he just found his preferred 11 over the last 6-7 games. A shame we didn't have Partey in for the Villa game. But yeah, they've been the guys he's trusted for the last couple of games. So no surprises there apart from Saka. I was a bit surprised that Martinelli was playing on the right-hand side. I thought he was going to be playing on the left-hand side with Trossard on the right because Trossard's very good on his left foot as well. But yeah, it was good to see Martinelli back in the lineups. Been a long time since he started a game for us. And I think he did okay. Quite symbolic for his season. He couldn't really finish too well. Last season he was our top scorer, and this season I think he finished on 5 goals or so. But yeah, I think you could see Saka was missing as well. That connection they've got with Saka and Odegaard and Ben White wasn't quite the same with Martinelli. But yeah, it feels weird speaking about the game because it was so difficult thinking about the game yesterday, and especially for me because I was sitting in the pub, so I was watching the City game as well, and obviously they scored after 2-3 minutes. So yeah, it was a weird game to watch yesterday. But yeah, I'm so happy about how the fans went about it and how they clapped off the players and gave them a good send off and supported the team throughout the whole 90 minutes.
Yeah, we'll go into that. Martinelli's first start since March. Dan, Alex touched on West Ham conceding really, really early on in that game, which is the one thing we didn't want them to do, either them to hang on half-time 0-0 or them to get the first goal. And it was a little bit of a sucker punch. You could just, all that enthusiasm that was on the concourse that did spill a little bit onto the stadium, especially with the smoke and everything else. It did suck the life out of us for a couple of minutes, didn't it?
It did, but I think it also got us in the party mode a bit earlier. I'd said to a few people before the game that I sort of hoped in one way, if City wasn't going to drop points, that they'd just go 5-0 up after about 20 minutes and just put us out of our misery, because it is the hope that kills you at the end of the day. And, you know, you even saw that when they got one back, and then when it was this allowed goal at the end, and just how that sort of, it gives you that little bit of hope. And yeah, that's the worst thing to watch, really. But look, I think if ever West Ham were going to get points against City, they needed to hang on for quite a while, make Man City really open up, and then spaces in behind to counter. I didn't ever really expect Man City to be dropping points at home, to be honest with you. So, you know, we went into it with, I think, hope rather than expectation. But ending the day, just celebrating, I think, not celebrating, but enjoying a good season of progress, and hopefully one that the lessons learned in this season we can transfer over to next year, because I think we have learned a lot about our team and about ourselves in this season. I think last year we showed we had the quality to compete, but we maybe didn't have the right application at the back end of the season. I think this year we've shown that we can have a good title running, and we know what we need to do to get over the line as such. I know we didn't quite go over the line, but I think if we replicate that running again next season with a settled side, I think we beat them, because I think genuinely for the first time in a long, long time, I think we're the best team in the league.
No. Trevor, look, Tommy came close. He hit the corner from a header. And then Pickford is made to make a great save on the 16th minute when Martinelli ran clean on him. And Martinelli was a little bit unlucky on there. Pickford came second in the Golden Glove. You know, not my favourite keeper in the world, but he had a really good game yesterday. And then City got their second, and it just felt a bit again, didn't it? What did you think of Pickford's performance, and then what it felt like when they went 2-0 up?
Look, right, Everton are a side that came into the game in pretty good form. They'd had a few wins, hadn't they? And so, and you don't underestimate Sean Dyche. You know, he gets out of players the best he can. So I didn't have a stand to win the game by a big margin, Ferg. I thought we would win it, but I didn't think we'd win it by many. So Pickford's had a blinder, and then against the run of play, as can often happen in football, they get a deflected goal, don't they? A lucky deflected goal to take the lead. And that is when you learn about the Arsenal Football Club. That is when you see where the massive changes have been made over the last few seasons. Because as soon as Everton scored that goal, we lifted it again, and we were determined not to be down for long. And we weren't. We were back in it in no time. I thought Tomiyasu was absolutely superb yesterday. I thought the blades of grass he covered on that pitch, he just looked as if he's developed. Don't forget, he's been out injured a long time. I'm still giving Tomiyasu another half of next season to improve even more, you know. But Tomiyasu yesterday, for me, Ferg, he was superb, absolutely superb. Everton, credit where it's due. They came and they played football and they gave us a game. But in the end, class showed, Ferg.
They did, and you know, they had some chances. Calvert-Lewin hit the post once just before they scored, and then on 39 minutes, they were awarded a free kick. I think his party takes out Dwight McNeil. He gets a yellow card. And Alex, you sent this picture to me. You said it doesn't really matter. It's all done now, but it is part of the talking points of they got awarded a free kick in this position. We're in the top picture, which is, what's that, another 10 yards away from the 18-yard line, and then they take the free kick within just almost in line with the top of the D. Thoughts? Shithousery? Sean Dyche special?
Yeah, I don't know how the ref didn't catch on to it, but yeah, I should say, like, it doesn't really matter now, but it would have been one of them if we didn't win the game. We'd be fuming looking back at it, because they did take it quite a bit closer to the box, as you said, and then yeah, I mean, it was just a free goal, wasn't it? I don't think Idrissa Gana Gueye has ever scored a free kick in his life before, and yeah, of course, it took a massive deflection as well. Just really, really unlucky. But yeah, I mean, as you said, you could hear it through the television as well. The crowd lifted as soon as Everton scored and got behind the team. It seemed like there was nothing that was going to get in the way of the fans in the stadium yesterday, and that's what I was really, really happy about seeing. You could just feel the togetherness, even through the television as well, which was, yeah, just lovely.
Dan, there was a pause, wasn't there, when the goal went in? Then we went almost a case of, fuck it, let's get behind the boys, let's go for it. And 3 minutes later, Odegaard provides an assist to Tomiyasu from a corner, set pieces again, 1-1 equaliser, and we're back in it.
You know what? It felt like a flashback to the beginning of last season, where every time we conceded a goal and went behind, the crowd got back behind the team, and yeah, it felt like a shift maybe back to fans from previous years. I don't know if there were a change in fans. I'll tell you what, I didn't notice many tourists around on the day. So perhaps a lot of these sort of old guard as such got tickets again for this game. It can make a difference. But yeah, I mean, the finish for Tomiyasu, for a centre-half playing left-back, that's a bloody good finish. I'll tell you what. I don't know if any of our other centre-backs have ever had a finish like that. I mean, the Saliba one against Bournemouth stands out, but I don't think we've got many defenders that can have a strike like that. It's up there with the likes of sort of Guardiola and the strikes he's been having for Man City lately. So good to see for next season.
Yeah, and then Trevor, West Ham get a goal back and give us belief just before half time. Here we go.
Do you know what? I could honestly say, Ferg, the fans around me, we didn't take much notice of the Man City score. I didn't realise they'd got one back just after half time, to be honest. But I can't move on until I just got to go back to that. Dan's exactly right. That finish from Tomiyasu, Ferg. I watched the game back today, and when he put it in the net, I thought, wow. And I had to rewind it to have a look at that again. It was a classy finish. And amazing, brilliant. And just when it was needed, and as Dan said, the fans just lifted and lifted and lifted and lifted. You know, you hear Man City are winning 2-0. It's all over, right? It's all over. You know that. Before the game, we had no right to be optimistic about whether we were going to win the league, because it's 999 times out of 1,000, Man City beat West Ham, don't they? So we're hoping for that 1 in 1,000, and it weren't going to happen. But the fans didn't go in there with that attitude or even that in their mind. Can't say enough and enough and enough. The fans were just amazing from start until half an hour after the end of the game. Mate, it's giving me goosebumps now thinking about how good our fans were.
No, I agree. And you know that thing where you said you didn't realise that West Ham had got a goal back? We'd known before half time because it popped up on Dan's watch. He's on some app, something like that came back up. And we were all quite excited around us. I think everybody went in half time or done away, or I went for a beer, whatever. They came back in again, and people have checked their phones, gone, "Oh my god!" And there was a second rower, Dan, around the stadium, and we all thought, "What?" And everyone's trying to get. You can't get any signal in that bloody place. Everyone's trying to think that maybe West Ham have equalised, and that was the roar that people heard on the TV, which was slightly delayed. Gabriel, 59 minutes, is get injured, and we bring on Zinchenko, and then. Again, Calvert-Lewin makes another great save from Raya. Now, Raya's been commended for, and I've said it, his footwork and his distribution and the way he's able to play out from the back. And Ramsdale, who may or may not be here next season, has been commended for some of the amazing saves he's made. He's made them at Leicester, Newcastle, and so on. These cat-like saves. But Trevor, I'm going to you on it. That was a great save, and I was just trying to give the guy some credit. I'm not trying to say he's better or what, but it's one of the areas that people always said Ramsdale was that little bit better on, and he just proved he can do just as well.
Oh yeah, listen, right. I've got no problem with Raya. Raya's been playing superb, but when we hear this, and I've heard it a few times recently, Ramsdale hasn't got the distribution that Raya has. I think back when Raya first joined the club, we were preaching about his distribution, the long balls he fired out to the wings, and the way he found players with his
Ramsdale,
on
yes.
the ground. You know, I'm not having it that Ramsdale doesn't distribute the ball as well as Raya.
He
All
distributes it differently, Trev. He can do those long balls, deliver a ball on a 50p piece, but he can't play as a sweeper keeper.
Yeah, I know. And Raya for me is now our number one. Well, he's going to be, because if Ramsdale doesn't go this close season, I'll be very, very surprised indeed. But I do feel we can't say the wrong things about Ramsdale. Ramsdale took it on the chin, and he's been great for us this season. You can see how he is behind the scenes, always with a smile on his face, always lifting. But yeah, Raya is our goalkeeper now, and Raya hasn't let us down. I read a piece today in The Athletic. It was very interesting, quite a long read. And he was saying about the hardest thing Raya had to do was take over from a fantastic goalkeeper like Ramsdale. That was what he carried, the weight on his shoulders. And we said that on his podcast at the time. We've got to give Raya a bit of time because he's filling big boots in Ramsdale's. And Dan was an admirer of his. We have to hold our hands up and say we were doubtful, but Dan always backed him. And so, yeah, Raya's our keeper. Raya's our number one. But I'm not saying about you, Ferg. I'm saying about some of the things I've seen recently about Ramsdale are untrue. Ramsdale is a damn fine goalkeeper of great standard, who will find another club in the Premier League and perform admirably for them. But Raya is our number one. Raya has shown why he's our number one. He's won the Golden Gloves, and he's been commanding as the season's gone on. So, yeah, good on him. And yeah, yesterday played fine. Absolutely fine. Very impressed with the way. Well, I was very impressed with the way the whole team played yesterday, to be honest.
Just shooting off of that to you, Dan, because you were Raya's biggest advocate and supporter at the start. Not that you were anti-Ramsdale in any shape or form, but the Raya and Ramsdale combination of two excellent number one keepers, and Ramsdale being too good to stay on the bench. Rumours, if they're correct, is Ramsdale could be going to Newcastle to sit alongside Pope. Is that not that much different of a combination of Raya and Ramsdale and Pope and Ramsdale? You know, the again, equally fine keepers.
No, I think Ramsdale's clear in front of Pope, to be honest with you. I think Ramsdale's a much better keeper. And I'm surprised that the conversations keep going on about Ramsdale and Raya, because for me, there isn't too much between them, but I've always said I thought Raya was the better keeper of the two. But Ramsdale was still a fantastic keeper. And the truth is, I really couldn't care less who played for us and who didn't out of the two of them. I loved the passion that Ramsdale brought to the team, and I think that changed us as a fan base to have players like that play for the badge. And I think that's why everybody loved him for what he brought to the fan base. I think in terms of ability, I don't think there's a huge difference between him and Raya. I think they're just very different in terms of their attributes. I think Raya does what Arteta wants, and that's to be able to hold the ball, wait on the ball, attract people to press him, and then play around them. And he can play like an outfield player in terms of his 4 and 5 yard passes to his defence and his midfielders that drop. Whereas Ramsdale can pick and ping an amazing ball, long ball over the top along the ground, as he's done when he played. But when he attracts people onto him and gets pressed, I do think he naturally gets a little bit flustered. And I think that's just the difference between the two of them, really. I don't really see much difference elsewhere other than that. But if Ramsdale goes to Newcastle, I think we will hold our hands up and say, thank you very much. We love what you brought to the club. We wish you the best. Hope you go and smash it and become number one. Hope you don't do too well that you do anything against us, but go and get the England number one spot and come back and get your applause from the fans every time you come back, because we don't do that enough as fans to thank players that leave. And if he does leave, I think we need to do that. I hope he doesn't. I'd rather have him as a number two and be playing at our great club.
Yeah, ain't going to happen.
Absolutely. Listen, Ferg, you know, it's just to finish it off, mate, it's got to be said what Ramsdale did for our football club when he joined us wasn't just on the field. It was off the field. He was a massive lift around that stadium. It's just the way he was. Him and his family, in fairness, they're great people, and they had a massive lift. And Dan's right. We've chosen Raya. We've got Raya, and Arsenal fans, we back our players. But I've got to repeat what Dan said. I absolutely agree, Dan. Wish him all the very best. I hope he keeps clean sheets every week of the season next year, apart from 2. Yeah?
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. Gabriel came off injured for Zinchenko, and then Martinelli.
Maybe not that many, because that might mean Newcastle were a little bit too close to us. Maybe just a couple less than that.
No, because we'll win every game, Dan.
Oh, fair enough. I didn't. Yeah, that's very true. I didn't realise that.
Martinelli comes across. He hits the post. He crosses the ball to Havertz, who hits the post with a beautiful header. Then we had White and Partey come off. I was surprised to see Partey come off, but I was happy, Alex, to see Jurrien Timber make his, not quite his debut, because he did play for 20 minutes in the first game of the season. He played 25 minutes. I think he's played about an hour in total of first team football this season, but it was really good to see him come back, and also Smith Rowe get a run out. With Timber and White, how do you see that working out next season?
Yeah, I think because he played right back when he came on, Timber, but I think that was mainly because Zinchenko had just come on 10 minutes before for Gabriel. So I think if Zinchenko wasn't on the pitch, I think Timber might have played on the left back.
Fair enough.
So I think for next season, I think it can work out with Timber playing at left back and Ben White at right back, because I think Timber will be better going forward as the inverted wing back, and then Ben White sitting a bit more back in a 3-back.
Yeah, because he did play inverted. He did play inverted again when he came on for it. Yeah. But I think we've been looking forward to see Timber so much, because he had such a good pre-season, and then he played a good first half against Nottingham Forest, and then of course he was injured. And then for the past couple of weeks, we've been waiting for him to return. And we all saw that brilliant goal he scored for the under-21s, where he just banged the top corner. So it was really, really good. I was excited to see him come back into the first team. And I think he showed glimpses of what we're going to see next season from him. And yeah, I mean, talking about Raya and just the business we've done, the business the club have done, it just makes me look forward to next season even more, with the additions that they're going to make over the summer. Because when we look at the people we brought in last summer, Havertz, he's been amazing. 20 goal contributions in the Premier League. He's developed so much throughout the season and a massive player for us. Raya's been brilliant as well, as you all just said. Timber could have been good if he wasn't injured. And then Declan Rice, of course, who's been a game changer throughout the season. He's lifted the team so much and been a driving force in the midfield. So I can't wait to see what talent they're going to identify over the summer and bring to us and make us go even further next season. So yeah. No, Timber and Raya technically will be a new signing because he's a loanee at the minute. Yeah. So yeah, there's 2 new signings. Trossard came off for Jesus.
Quickly, I would say just on that quickly, it's a really important message, I think, for next year, because there were a section of the fan base that was in uproar throughout the course of the season at various points that we didn't need Raya because we had Ramsdale, that Havertz was a waste of money, and even myself at the start, when you look at Declan Rice, I be honest, I did think 100 million was a lot of money for him, and I thought he was worth maybe 50, 60 million. But every single one of them, I think, have proved everyone wrong. And I think we just need to have a bit of blind faith now with the club and with the setup of the club and who they buy. And they're not going to get it right every single time. But I tell you what, if they get it wrong, it won't be for the sort of want to try him, because the players that they brought in have changed our club this year from last year. And how do you go from a club that was pushing as hard as we were last year to a club that's as good as we are this year? And it's down to the recruitment of the management team. So, if we do go and sign someone next year that people don't agree with, I think people just need to get on board with it and give them sufficient time, not a month or two, but give them a season and maybe even a bit more, because I think we know what we're doing as a club. So, they've earned blind faith.
Ferg, listen, I know
Sorry, Trev. I hit the button as you went.
It's in my head now, you clown. 60 million pounds. I have a scores again, Sam. Yeah, just picking up on what Dan said. I know you want to move on and get through the game, Ferg, but it's the transfer thing is really interesting now, because in previous seasons we've known that we're going to have to make massive jumps. Apart from last season to this season, maybe, but previous to that, we're going to have to make massive jumps every season to make up where we were at the end of the previous season. Well, this close season, we haven't, have we? We've only got to improve a little bit, We've just got to find maybe one or two more players. I'm not saying only buy one or two. We trust Arteta, like Dan just said, and Edu. But we're so close now. We haven't got to find a lot more. We are really, really close. Our record against the top six. I know you're going to. I don't know if you're going to touch on that first. I'm not going to say that.
Go, got it.
Because Tottenham are not a big team. But our record against the top, there it is, speaks for itself. Look at that. Take the top six in a league. We are 7 points clear against sides like Manchester City, Chelsea, Liverpool. That is massive. That is massive. 10 games and we're 7 points clear of them. We are so good. Last year, we won it in London and lost it in the Northwest. This year, we've won it in the Northwest and maybe, taking into account Fulham, lost it in London, but we're close. We're so close. Next season, be excited. Be excited now. Have a summer of excitement. Not like we used to do. We used to have a summer of dread, hoping that we'd buy someone in the transfer market. We'd leave it till the last 10 seconds to buy a complete and utter load of rubbish. Or we'd buy someone that was getting a last big payday through the bent people upstairs in our club. That's all gone. Be excited from now. Be excited from now until the start of next season, because we know where we are and we know what we can do. I'm ready to go. Can we kick it off next week or what?
I'll tell you what, though. Don't forget, according to a certain central midfielder down in Manchester, we didn't win the league because of our mentality, apparently. If anyone's able to make
load of rubbish
things like that, someone needs to get an Only Fools and Horses meme and change it from Rodney you plonker to Rodri you plonker, because I'll tell you what an idiot.
That's the worst comment. We didn't lose it at Man City. We didn't need to win that game. A draw was perfectly fine. A draw meant that it was in our hands. So
you look at that table against teams in and around us, and there's only one team that's clear there. I'd say It's a team that's running scared of what's coming behind them.
Absolutely. And look at this point from our really good friend Lyle, Ferg. Look at this point from our really good friend Lyle. I know I'm doing your head in, I'm sorry. Absolutely. Every good player in Europe will be wanting to come to play at the Arsenal. Whereas 5 years ago, there goes my light again, 5 years ago, we couldn't get them to come here for love nor money, mate. We are in a great place.
And no one wants to leave as well.
Quite a few are. And we will cover next season, and we will cover what we think is going to happen. But just finally on this game, we had Kai Havertz as Trevor.
Waka, 60 million down the drain. Kai Havertz scores again. So you started it off now. I'm going to be doing my missus' editing tonight. She's watching now.
Not staying it.
Donna's watching now here tonight. She's going to be sat downstairs thinking, "Oh no,
sorry, Donna. Sorry, Donna. Don't worry, we've got another song to get in his head beforehand." But Alex, again, something I think. No, did you send this to me? No, I picked it up off Match of the Day. There was a VAR decision which I didn't have a clue half of what was going on at that stage. VAR decision on Jesus, and they're talking about handball. And Michael Oliver went to the pitch side monitor, and generally going to the pitch side monitor, as we know when we hear some of this talkback stuff, they're told basically what's going on and what decision to make almost. And he overruled them because they were pushing towards a handball, but it hit here. His ball was Donna. Oops. His arm was quite close to his body, and he wasn't the one who scored the goal, Alex. So it's not a handball. He didn't score by his hand. It came off a closed arm to his chest.
Spoken like a true Arsenal fan, Fergus. Spoken like a true Arsenal fan.
To be sure.
Oh, you're talking a bit of shit there, my son.
I'm not really, but could you imagine?
You are.
Imagine if that was the goal that decided the league, Alex. How do you think it would have gone down in Manchester?
Well, obviously they're biased and we're biased as well, but I think the ref got the right decision. I don't think it was a clear and obvious mistake that the goal was given in the first place. But like you said, I thought when he went to the monitor, I thought he's for sure gonna disallow the goal because, like you said, usually it's just a confirmation tool. The refs just go out to the monitor and confirm what they're saying in the VAR. So I thought for sure he was going to disallow it, but I think rightly so. I don't think it was a clear and obvious mistake by him. I think Jesus, like you said, he wasn't the one who scored the goal. So different rules for if he scored the goal. And I don't know where he should have put his arm. He had it like this.
He went in like that. Yeah,
exactly. And I don't think there was any movement towards the ball from his arm. So
you need to keep off the Fergus pill, son. You do.
It's talking foolishness for.
And it's a subjective rule as well. So yeah, I mean, I don't think it was a massive howler from the ref. I think it was fair enough.
Oh my lord!
Go on, Trev.
Oh,
what have you got to say?
I'll tell you what, if that was against us, I'd be livid.
I've got a motive. It's putting me off, Ferg. I've got a motive here, right? Because if that goal had been given against the Arsenal, I'd have been.
That'll put you off more, wouldn't it?
I'd have been screaming handball all day long. I mean, O'Hara won't have any air left today after seeing that. So my theory is this, right? That as they've said to Michael Oliver, look, it's over. Man City are winning 3-1. It don't matter about if Arsenal score another goal. Let's get a bit of faith back in the fans. They've whispered in his ear, Michael, go over to the screen, then leave the goal. And that way, they'll think the PGMOL are great because you can go across to the screen and turn the decision over. And that's what's happened. Come on, boys. The point
of VAR is to stop those situations that I used to face when I made a decision on here, got into the dressing room, looked at my phone and thought, oh my goodness, how have I missed that? That shouldn't happen now. The VAR's there as that safety net. But what I don't want is situations where, there's some situations that could split opinion 60-40, not only in the public, for you guys, for the players, the coaches, also for the officials. And one VAR in 1 week will recommend a review, and in the same week, a different one won't. And I think that would create a situation where people lose faith in what it's for.
Do you know what?
Exactly.
When you cut me off like that, right, I feel like coming down to the Loughton and sticking 2 fingers in you, Fergus. I'm telling you now, for nothing, son. Right? It's that's my theory anyway.
That's some scamping, yeah?
The piece, yeah.
I'm going to have to hear this story after this point.
Look, right, he's got his arm by his side, but he's leant towards the ball. He's had to control it, Jesus. I'm really happy the goal was given. I'm over the moon the goal was given. If it had been given against the Arsenal, I'd have been fuming. Absolutely fuming. Right, let's move on quickly now. Come on.
I've been blindsided for 53 minutes now. What's going on?
We'll tell you afterwards. Oh, dear.
None of us ordered fish in the restaurant last night, did we?
Stop.
Someone wants to know where's the fingers going, Trev.
It's almost private.
Very.
It's been nice knowing you.
Oh, for God's sake.
Come on.
Where do we go from here, folk?
There we go. We weren't very happy. We weren't smiling there, were we, Trev?
No, we are not putting that on there. That was my That was my feelings last night. I was disappointed. You can't just be disappointed in our season. Of course you can't. We're going to talk about it in a special program later this week, hopefully. We've had a wonderful season, but we were all disappointed last night, and rightfully so, because we've been so good. But while we talk about that, right, I think that, you know, we've got to accept as fans football for what it is nowadays, right? I'm not going to talk about the money situation or whatever anymore. The money comes into most clubs now, right? They've all followed those that took the lead and started winning things, and we're all following. So I'm just going to accept from now on that that's the way football is, right? We've all got money to spend up there, and hopefully we'll spend ours wisely and just get that little bit better, because I want to sit here next season talking with you boys, right? Dan disagrees with me, but I want to sit here talking with you boys next season and talk about us winning the Premier League. And will we talk about money then? Nah, not a chance, will we?
Let's look at the improvement Mikel Arteta had. He was 8th in his first half a season. People have to remember that was half a season. And then 8th again, 5th, 2nd, and 2nd. But the difference in our points that we that we have, we've had 20 more points than 2 seasons ago. We broke our goal record by 3 goals. We broke our win record by 2 wins. We broke our goal difference by 11. But we're still missing out on the title for the second time running. Does feel a bit painful. Dan, we got one of the youngest sides. Only Chelsea and Burnley have got younger sides in the league to us. Gente gave us some really interesting stats that we have a 73.7% win percentage under Arteta. The next is Bertie Mee in 1970-71, then Arteta as the third one, then Wenger, Chapman. So what the changes that Arteta is putting into this side and the building on it, and whether we are going to chuck a bit more money at it, and money does get involved, but we've got a genius manager that's going to take us all the way to sunny Spain, aren't we?
But it's financial power that we've built ourselves, right? This isn't something that's just come out of nowhere. We've built a brand as a club globally. We've built a massive club that have been able to generate those funds. And the money situation isn't a problem for me. Man United can waste all their money as much as they like. Like it or not, they're a huge club across the world, and they've generated those funds, the same as Liverpool, the same as a few other clubs. The likes of Chelsea and Man City haven't done that. So it is artificial. I feel a little bit sorry for them because, let's be honest, right? Those 20 players in that Man City team are an amazing set of players. And on the pitch, what they do, it's fantastic. But I don't know what people want us to sit there and do and say, okay, well done, congratulate Man City on 4 titles in a row. It is amazing what you can do with 2 billion in the bank. It's amazing what you can do when you've got offshore bank accounts, and it's amazing what you can do with 115 charges. You know, four titles in a row is amazing, but for me, it's up there with Lance Armstrong winning 7 tours in a row. There's a reason.
Oh, you didn't write that joke.
I didn't write that. No, but it is. It's true. It's so true. It's up there when
it is true
with that. I don't think you can look at it any other way.
The issue with the 115 charges versus Everton and Forest. Everton and Forest was clear and obvious in the sense of there was no VAR involved, in the sense of they broke financial rules, in the sense of they spent more than they had. There's an awful lot more complicated stuff to go on with the way that City's charges are. Europe found them guilty and gave them a transfer ban, I think a suspended transfer ban. I'm sure there'll be something toothless given to them in this country when it eventually does come, because they're tying up the league in so much legal stuff. One expert reckons, they say they're going to have an answer in 15 months or maybe beginning of the season, next season. But one expert reckons it could be nearly 10 years of legal wrangles and appeals and resubmissions. And you know how these sort of cases work. It will drag on. As much as it pains me, I think almost we can't just start churning that out as Arsenal fans, saying, well, you know, whilst I agree wholeheartedly, then winning 4 titles in a row is the equivalent of Lance Armstrong's 7 Tour de France's. I'm not going to actually go on about it anymore because it just sounds a little bit bitter from us Arsenal fans. We need to.
I don't think it's bitter. I really don't. I think if you get Mikel Arteta and the job he's done for our club, and you do that 10 years ago, we win 2 titles in a row. So for me, it's now getting to the point where the ability of our manager, our coaching staff, and our players is being undermined because of something that's artificial. And we should be having a star boy like Saka and a captain like Odegaard that are now pushing next year for their third title in a row. And it's them just as much as us as fans that it disappoints me. As fans, it's been way too long since we've won a title, and it's gutting. But there's also players on there that are professionals that work day in, day out to achieve something, and they're being stopped from achieving what I believe is or should be rightfully theirs.
And to look at the other side of the argument, there's players that are playing for Man City right now, not in defence, but there's really good players in Rodri and Haaland who are playing and doing their job very, very well, that have been tarred with a brush from their forefathers of what they've done. For me, I think it's really important that the PGMOL or the FA or whoever the hell it is, be the FA, needs to get and deal with this, and whether it is a whitewash and dealt with, but it needs to be closed and shut down. Trevor, final word on this one, and then I want to talk about a servant to the club.
Yeah, no, I agree. I actually do agree with Dan, right? I know all that's happened, right? I know all that's happened, but I'm looking at it now in like, football's made its bed. Football made its bed, right? Football let all this money come in. Football let all these doors open. Football kept increasing prices, increasing salaries, and keep getting every penny they can out of fans in every way they can. Come on, even the bloody president of FIFA was, and the vice president of FIFA, weren't they sacked or locked up for being as bent as, robbing money left, right, and centre? It's at the very top. And that goes all, if the man at the top is bent, then that goes right down like an ugly vine, all the way down to the bottom, right? And football ain't going to change now. Football is going to keep making every single penny it can in every possible way it can. Was it just, I think it was Matthew said, I like watching American sports because they have a salary cap and they have a transfer cap and they have ways of doing this and ways of doing that. And football had its chance to do that. But it didn't. It took the other option and it took the money. And it can come up with as many charges as it wants against Man City. The money's already gone. People have already made their wedge. We had it in our own club before Edu and Arteta came along. We wondered what we were doing with the money spending and why we were buying these certain players. So football's there. That's what we get nowadays. And I think you're either going to have to accept it or you're going to end up with the ump forever, because it ain't going to stop now. It's just money, money, money. Look at next season. Us fans, and I'm going to talk about it in a minute, right? Us fans that spend thousands and thousands and thousands watching our football club, they're not happy with that. They're going to stick another European away game on us next year because they know we'll go. But they're not worried about the fans. It's this. That's saying that UEFA uses, FIFA uses, the Premier League uses, the Football League uses, the FA uses, Sky Sports and TNT uses. They all use it. They all say football is nothing without fans. And I'll tell you for nothing, not one of them believe their own words, because they ain't worried about the fans. They're worried about this. And it's gone too far now. How it stops, I do not know.
Before we expand on that, and I do want to have 5 minutes or so on that, because season ticket renewals are coming up. There's been the whole issue over red and silver memberships, the ballots, getting tickets, tourists, all this sort of stuff. And not saying that there's anything wrong with tourists, but I'm talking about day trippers who aren't Arsenal fans, just turning up just for an occasion. We'll cover all that sort of stuff. I do want to mention a player who's played 161 games for the Arsenal Football Club, Mohamed Elneny, captain of Egypt, a big influence behind the scenes in the stadium. I've got a slight inkling, no inside information, but I can see him coming back and working with the club, maybe with a youth team, or maybe as some of the coaching staff. Alex, your thoughts on me and Steve, Big Steve, used to talk about this when we'd done the audio podcast. We used to call him the water carrier. And every club sometimes needs the water carrier, the guy who's willing to do the hard work and just go train, help everybody and be the team player, not necessarily get all the glory. Yeah,
I mean, he's not been the most prominent player on the pitch. I remember one of the goals he scored was against Barcelona in the Champions League. Really good goal. But yeah, I think he's been more prominent off the pitch, and through the great professionalism he's had being in our club. And I agree. I could see him coming back working with the club. I think he's got his own football club as well, or something like that. A youth team, and yeah, I can see him going into coaching. I think he's done some of his coaching badges with the team as well. But yeah, I think he's just been a great professional at the club throughout the past many years, and deservedly, he's got one of the best chants, one of the best songs at the club as well. I'm gonna miss singing that song. That's been brilliant, going around Europe singing that song. So yeah, gonna miss singing that song. But yeah, apparently
song will
he's going to
continue.
be the song will have to continue, especially if he comes back. Yeah. Lee B saying in the chat he's heard he's going to be a coach at Arsenal, one of the younger age groups. So I think that would just be brilliant if that's the case. Gonna miss him, and he's always got a smile on his face when I see pictures of him, and I've never heard anyone speak a bad word of him. So yeah, I think we can all tell he's had a great influence on the dressing room, and just been a great professional. Never complained about not playing. So yeah, fair play.
Trevor, you said when you said on the WhatsApp group beforehand you were getting excited about today, you had recovered from the drive home and everything else, and you were looking forward. It was going to be emotional. It was emotional yesterday. We all went through the excitement early on in the day and the anticipation with the true belief knowing that it wasn't in our hands. And then we had a few beers and baby Guinnesses and a laugh and a giggle. We started the day, I started the day watching the end of Fever Pitch, and then we took the walk from the Marble Holes up to the Gunners and then across to the Woodbine. And then we met with the lads. We took the walk down Gillespie Road, past the tube station, smelt the burgers, with a giggle and a laugh, and you do the usual piss taken out of me or the piss taken out of you, or just generally Dan. And then we get ourselves in, we get our 4 pints, we line all our beers up, and then we have a little bit of a chat. It builds up and builds up until it turns into that chaos that we saw in there. I find it immensely emotional. Trev, go on.
Look, firstly, right, I will come straight to your point, right? But just going back, Gary Jones, comment of the day, right? We hear it all season, from almost
Ridiculous.
The first game of the season till the last. Players are knackered. Managers want less games. Players are knackered. But straight after the final game of the season, Tottenham and Newcastle get on planes and travel to Australia. Why do they do that? Money. They don't care about fans. It's about money. Ferg, leaving that behind and going back to the day, right? I got in the ground yesterday and I got me 4 pints. And I looked around, and this is where it's changed again over the last couple of seasons. I thought, I'm not going to be doing this again now until August. I'm not going to see any of these people, all my friends. And they are all friends. They're all friends. Some of them you only see at games. Some of them you don't see every game. You see once a month or once every couple of months. But you talk to them like they're friends. The camaraderie within Arsenal Football Club is absolutely second to none, Ferg, right? But do you know what? We just spoke about it, and it leads on nicely to this. They say the players need a rest, and then they take them on them tours. But I'll tell you who needs a rest, right? I'll tell you who needs a rest. The unrecognised heroes, and that's the fans, right? And I don't like doing it very often, but I'm going to differentiate here. I know that everyone that can't get to the games are passionate Arsenal fans, and they love our club as much as we all do. But us fans that go to every game, and we travel to every away game, and we travel all over Europe, I'm knackered. My bank account's knackered. You know, I've been to, I think I've missed 2 away games this season, and I've been to Lens, Seville, Eindhoven, Porto, Munich. I'd have been in Madrid if I'd had to be, if we'd have beaten Munich. And everyone wants money off us. As soon as the fixtures are announced, airplane prices go through the roof. Hotel prices go through the roof. If it's playing somewhere that's only got a little airport, you have to fly somewhere else and rent a car, you know, and it costs you a fortune. And and it knackers you twice a week, twice a week. Some weeks you go away to Manchester one weekend, and then during the week you've got to fly to Munich, and then the next weekend. And our fans are going to get a deserved rest for a few weeks now. I mean, some of them, I know some wonderful fans of the Arsenal that have even booked. They're already booked for the trip to America in a few weeks' time, I can't afford to do that. I wish I could, but I can't afford to do that. But that's who needs the praise, and that's who needs the rest. They're the fans, the wonderful fans, them that travel to every game. Wow. I take my hat off to them, mate. I take my hat off to them. This year, my bank account has taken more dives than my bloody ring light does, to be honest with you. You know what I mean?
I thought we got somewhere else.
Look at your figures to yourself. But, it's... I can't wait for the season to start again. But we do need a break. We do need to replenish our funds. We need to just take a back seat and look after our wives, And I'm just going to take every football fan that goes to most games has to have an understanding partner, right? And Ferg, you and me, these two single lads down below, this doesn't apply, right? But you and me, mate, we are.
Oh, Christ, you're in trouble. Anna's looking for you.
We are fucking lucky. We are bloody lucky, Ferg. Jackie puts up with me 4 or 5, 6 times a season. I don't even talk to her. I just turn up pissed and go to bed. And she never moans. She's always there with a smile on her face.
She's used to that. That's me.
I've got a brilliant wife who encouraged me to go to football. Do you know what? She moans about me going to football when she's around her mum and dad because she wants to show off and be big hard Donna. But she don't mean it. She encourages me, and she asks the questions more if I say I'm not going. So, brilliant. Thank you for the fans for an amazing season, overseas, at home, all the away games. But thank you most importantly to my missus, Donna, and your missus, Jackie Ferg. They've looked after me this season, and they need to know I do appreciate it. And this is where I'm getting emotional because, we are lucky men, Fergus. We are lucky, lucky men, mate.
Trev, I managed to go to 9 games this season, and my missus, even though you just said I was single, I've got a missus.
I know you have. But I know you have. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and she got the ump with me going to 9 games. I don't know how Donna and Jackie copes because they are superstars.
Yeah, what was that game we went on a away game this year? Can't remember where it was.
Forest.
It was a Sunday, and I didn't get home till the Monday. And no, I didn't. I got home on a Sunday night, and I had to pack to go on Monday morning away with Dan, meeting Dan at Stansted on Monday morning.
Yeah.
And that was Munich. Dan, listen.
We won't go into about the passport stuff that happened there, but yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, shit.
Dan, listen. I can see you there smiling, but also we talk about the emotion and everything and talk about rest. You need a rest. You're off to sunnier climes for 6 to 10 weeks, see family out there. And, life goes on and we all get tough things to deal with, but the football is the thing that we get our release from. And I was with you all the game yesterday, and I could see how relieved and how much you were enjoying yourself, and also could see how much it was bothering you that we didn't win the league and just stuff. I could see your eyes were glassy and everything else. I thought, I've got to keep strong here for my mate and stuff like that. And I came along. I rang my missus, and I'll let you come back in and talk about how it meant to you in the season. I rang my missus. I was with all you guys, and we've done those photos with Susan, the taking of his tats again. He got his tats out for everybody. Anybody who asks, show us your tats, he gets them out. And I rang my missus, and I went, "Hi, love." I said, yeah. I said, "We didn't do it." She went, "Yeah, I know." As soon as I heard her voice and she said that, I had to walk away from you guys. I was in floods of tears. I've never done. The only time I got close to doing that was with Wenger when he said, "I love you and I always will." And even to this day, it gets hairs in the back of my neck going. Explain to people what the emotion of following your football club, be it whoever it is, but our football club is the Arsenal, what it feels like at the end of the season, no matter where we get to, whether win, lose or draw.
Yeah, I will say one thing. My eyes were not glazed. It was windy, and I must have had something in my eye because
I say glazed.
I know
Could be pissed.
I know what it is. 2 fingers.
Facing the wrong way, apparently.
Fucking hell, Trev.
I just, yeah, I don't know what to say to you lot anymore. I think at the end of that game, there was a little bit that I don't know if it didn't really get to me, but it not annoying, but I didn't really understand it. There was a massive sort of celebratory mood, and celebration for me is the wrong thing at that time, because for me there was nothing to celebrate. There was a time to reflect on a good season where we've made a lot of progress. We've had many memories with some great people. But as much as everyone says you do it because of friends and for times out and for the memories, that's my second priority. It's a big priority, and it's a huge part of what I do it for. But for me, the number one is always I do it for the football. And it's always been the case that since I was a young boy, I've always loved watching football. I've loved watching Arsenal. The memories of my granddad taking me there when I was young, putting me on his shoulders and me looking over the gates at Highbury. And even growing up abroad away from people that I knew in the UK, it was the football that I used to look forward to. You know, I grew up in a foreign place where I didn't know anyone. And the thing for me was, that's all right, Wednesday's coming, we've got Champions League, or Saturday's coming, the Premier League's back. And that was always the thing I used to look forward to. And it's still the same now, is, you know, no matter how many times are sort of tough, you look forward to the weekend and the football is what cheers me up. And yeah, I just got to the end of that game and sat there watching. I sort of left you guys for a little bit and just went into block 8 and just sat at the back and just watched everyone on the pitch. And yeah, the thing that goes through my head is, I hope the players, as much as they're partying and nice times with their families and bits like that, that they look and think, this means a lot to the fans. You can see some of the fans that stay behind at the end, and there's more that we need to do for next year, and don't sort of get lost with the focus. The focus is we need to win, and that's what we're here for. So next season, that's got to be the goal.
Did you hear the... Sorry, my AirPods just ran out of juice. Did you stay and hear the Arteta end of the season speech?
Yeah.
Or had you left by then? Yeah,
no, I think he stayed.
Yeah, I think
we left the stadium. We left the stadium at 7:15 when they kicked us out.
Wow. Yeah, I think he summed it up really well. Like, enjoy this moment to reflect on a good season, but don't be satisfied. Still be hungry and want more. And I think the players, you could see it in the interviews after the game as well. They were gutted. They weren't happy about having a good season. They were really, really disappointed. I think you could see it in every single one of those faces. Havertz, Declan Rice, Odegaard, they were absolutely gutted. I think they will be super, super hungry next season. And I don't think they'll be satisfied with a good season and pushing Man City to the final game of the season. I'm positive that they're going to be even more hungry next season, and they want to win trophies as well.
Yeah, I agree. I did like that. Odegaard was also very hungry to go again. Dan, the only thing I would say in response to what you said, I thought everything you said was fantastic, and I remember you saying that thing about celebratory yesterday. I couldn't think about it, and it stuck with me all day. And I don't think it was it was a bit of a party atmosphere because end of season, people were hugging each other because they're not going to see each other for the couple of months. But I think there was total pride and total joy in seeing the progress of where we have been and where we've come from. 4 seasons ago, we were like desperate just to get European football. Even if we could, and we got 5th 3 seasons ago, we were just like dying to get fourth place to get Champions League football. Now we're gutted because we didn't win the league and we pushed the All Barons to the limit.
Yeah, and so right, and we should be proud. We should be proud of the players that give their all week in, week out on the pitch, and the way the club has turned things around. But let's be honest, I'd be proud of my club if we finished 20th and we was in the conference. I'd be following and doing the same thing.
I would.
But the aim has to be the top target, and anything less than that isn't celebration. You know, if not, we're like that small little club down the road that want to celebrate stopping others as opposed to celebrating success. We know what success is because we're a successful club and we've got a rich history, and that history has to continue, because for a club of our size to not win the Premier League for 20 years, it isn't good enough, you know. And there comes a time when you have to stop saying it's a process and you have to come and say, we now have to win. And I was sitting there for the last couple of years, and you see a lot of comments from people saying, we must win something this year, we must win something this year. And I was sitting there thinking, nonsense, absolute nonsense. We don't have to win anything that year. We're developing as a club. We've got a young club. We're progressing towards where we need to be. Do you know what? Yesterday for me feels like we're no longer progressing to where we need to be. We are where we need to be. We are a top club. We are the best team in the Premier League, in my opinion. And we now need to say next year, now let's get some output from that. Let's get something tangible and say, not only do we think we're the best club, let's prove it with trophies and lifting things at the end of the season. And let's start not just a 1 year Premier League like Liverpool did under Klopp. Let's get those 3, 4, 5 years of domination. Let's get that history that we deserve as a club, the Champions Leagues, the trebles, the things that we haven't had yet that I think as a club we deserve. And look, that's not me saying if we don't win it, it changes anything. It changes nothing. For all of us here, we continue to follow the club the way we do, win, lose or draw. But for me, next year now, we need to show something on paper at the end of the season.
Trevor, a lot of good words there. I nearly was going to have to put up Dan time, but it's Trevor time.
No,
Doom,
right. Dan's exactly right. I think that we were as good as we could be this season. With what we had, with the resources we had, we were as good as we possibly could be. And there's a side that was slightly better. Not in their head-to-heads with us. They were slightly better in how they managed their games against, for want of a phrase, the lesser sides. They did a bit better than we did. And it's that close. Look, a couple of things, Ferg. I think I speak for all of us, certainly for me. We get lovely viewers watching this program. We've got nearly 400 again tonight watching live. I'm so honoured that you watch. And I do know how lucky I am to be able to go and watch our great club every week. I know how lucky I am. I don't take it for granted. I know that there's millions of people around the world that would love to be in our position. And that's why we try on this podcast to let you know a bit about what it's like. I don't know if that's good or bad, but we're just fans. But we know we're lucky to do what we do, right? I think that the other point I want to make is that the clubs just need to think again. I can only speak for my own. You do really well by us fans, but remember we're not cash cows. Look after us. Because if everyone means that fans, without the fans, there's not a game, then show us a bit more. I'm not going to specify because that'd be a whole nother show, you know. I've got to say it again. My missus is amazing. She just, oh God, how she puts up with me, the bad moods, the tantrums, you know, I'm going to bed, I can't watch this. And, you know, how she puts up with all that, I don't know, because I'm a grouch. I'm a grumpy old man. Fergus, you love calling me that, and you're not wrong. But now the last thing is, right, Ferg, I think if City win the FA Cup, do we get a trip to Wembley first game of next season?
We do.
We do. So come on, City. Turn Man United over next week. Let's have a few weeks off and enjoy the company of our wives and girlfriends and watching a bit of cricket. And let's all meet up at Wembley and get drunk and do it all again, eh, boys?
Yeah, it's going to be DIY, wall to wall for me over the summer. Alex, Dan, Hilsey. It wasn't quite the hour; it was near enough. But
Always.
thank you for thank you very much for the season. Thank you very much for tonight. We will be back. Maybe one later this week. We'd like to do one where people can join the show and have their talk about what they thought was good. We also want to do one about the European way, so bring some of the guys in. We'll get hopefully Lyle and a couple of the other guys come in and have a chat about different away trips and stuff like that.
Boys,
and then we've got
stories. Sorry, Ferg, the stories, eh? Do you remember, Dale, just to give them a little taster, Dan, so you weren't there, Alex, sorry. Do you remember when you was in the back of the car and I was in front and I was trying to give Fergus some friendly instructions on what way to go? How rude he was. How rude.
Honestly, I've never seen a man so ungrateful in my life.
Oh,
the sat nav told him where to go and he didn't hear it.
What you talking shit for?
He just, do you know what? I don't think there's a swear word he didn't use that day. And that was all in 5 minutes. And Tom's hit the nail on the head. Yeah, did it all with 2 fingers.
We're going to have to change the name of this one. Listen, before we go, we know we got North London forever, but I thought we'd have this before we go. You have been watching Guns and Yellow Ribbons. Thanks very much. Good night.
Thanks for listening to Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Follow us on Facebook at Guns and Yellow Ribbons or Twitter at Guns and Ribbons. And remember to rate and review us too. Up the Arsenal.
Yo.
Up the campy.